How's it going?
That's all right. Back after a little bit longer break. We had a couple of days we didn't have time to do anything.
Well, we had public holidays that didn't map. So, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, English public holidays are different.
We do it wrong as usual, kind of, or do it weird. Let's just say it that way.
Exactly. But anyways, we were creating this photo circles application, which is photo sharing into kind of family circles, not fully unlike Google Plus, but more private. And we already hooked up a Nextcloud backend to it. I'd invite you to give a bit of a recap because maybe people have forgotten, and let you then push to the next phase.
Yeah. Okay. Let me take the screen and I'll sort of run everything. Actually, I haven't run anything today, but I think I was the last person to make changes, so it should be on me that it works. And then describe what we're going to do next. Okay, so back in open code. So I guess we've got, I won't reveal our planning list yet. What I guess we'll do is we'll do run, or was it dev? Was it dev.sh? Yeah. So let's just run the project. It's doing some initializing. I can't remember what was the port. 51 something, right? Or is it doing something here now? 0% configuring, 100%. Okay.
I think it tells you the port after it's done. Yeah.
It should do, yeah. So we've got the back end. It's wanting to be a bit slow today. My fans are already kicking off. Very good. The back end report is running, but now it's trying to run the, it's now running the front end. Yeah, it's super interesting going back to the experience of building on a Java-based runtime. I mean, maybe in the long term it's good, but that dev loop just definitely feels slower. Executing, I'm gonna guess it was something like 5173. There you go. That was a good guess. All right. And then we've also got, just make sure this is all, this should be working fine, but localhost 8081, I think was the Nextcloud instance. Yeah, okay, there you go.
So this is the Docker-based Nextcloud thing that's running the project,
yeah, the locally running. So this is part of the dev environment, basically. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And I'll just do a login. Just let's get a good baseline, make sure it's working. We'll log in. Has it got that remembered? No, of course it doesn't. Bear with me a sec. We've got Nextcloud, and I've got, because I can't remember, John Smith, Photosec, okay. Super secret passwords, John Smith, and we're going to grant access. That's great. They've already got a photo. We can upload some more. Where did I put some pictures in here? I can't remember where my photos are. Nope, not in there either. Okay, off. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Circle ID must come before the file part. So we've got an error here. We better fix this before we go any further, right?
Probably a good thing to get a baseline before we go.
Yeah. But I'm not seeing anything in the logs. That's okay. Let's just see if the LLM can figure that out though.
Is this this should be in the front end log or back end log. Is it an error happening?
It should be in the back.
end?
I think it should be in the backend log. I'm not seeing it here, but then rather than pass through the logs, let's see if we can get open code to figure it out.
It is one of those things when I run into this kind of thing, but when it's not in a log, I'd also saying, hey. So what I tend to do quite often is that, hey, I have an error here, and then I write also make sure these things are logged properly. Because then in the future you kind of will see it.
So if last time we hit it, we were asking it to look through the logs. Look through the logs. Let's see if they can figure that out. It looks more just like a API problem, right?
It does. At least the error message is very clear to the technical person. It's not very good for user.
No.
That's all right.
Horrible.
We can polish that later.
Yeah. There were some things I'll get onto it sort of later, but there was something I was thinking about, Juhani, over the weekend because I was listening to a podcast about sort of related topic, but there's this topic of a software bill of materials, which I know that some of our colleagues who are interested in the CRA and EU standards around digital products and their security and so forth. The software bill of materials is an interesting one. And it seems to me like it could be a very straightforward thing to be constantly updated in a sort of LLM-based coding project, right? So I'm starting to think about these sort of standard, regular things that we do all the time, even if it's just something simple, it just constantly runs in the background. And then we just say, well, yeah, of course we always have a software bill of materials, and we know what libraries are included and so forth and so on. Anyway, sort of stuff that just runs in the background that becomes standard
like
practice.
Almost you kind of need an LLM boilerplate project, which
that's
pretty
where
sure
it
there
would end
are
up.
many.
Yeah. Or I mean, even if it's not boilerplate, it's just like it's sort of checklist of here are the sort of things that we could, that needed probably a special sprint in the past, but it's just like standard stuff now. Okay.
I kind of find it because I kind of tend to start projects now quite often. I find myself now focusing more on kind of getting the agents set up first and having things like migration between LLMs always to save tokens basically, so it doesn't have to read the whole code base immediately. Especially Claude, I now run quite often, so Claude, when it goes over the tokens, it just stops. Whereas, especially anti-gravity, Gemini just kind of handles the cycling itself. So
that's good.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about my Google Gemini problems later. So here's there's a usability problem, it looks like. So just want to flip back here for a second, right? So my inbuilt assumption was that, hey, there's only one circle. I've got a photo in here. It must belong to that circle. I must automatically have that circle selected. Mm-hmm. Coming back to what it's found out is like basically undefined as circle ID. Yeah. Right, which is
because
okay.
You don't have circle,
right.
I understand.
So, I guess let's fix that because I'm going to keep making that mistake.
For sure,
right?
For sure. Yeah, every time you run a usability problem, that should be fixed because it's so easy.
Right.
So if you don't have circle selected, you shouldn't be able to upload, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Actually, if you go back to the UI, does this all photos even make sense? It kind of does, right? The all photos is from all of your circles. It should be the stream of all of your photos, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Or do you always want to just have here's the circles and show nothing? What is the intention? Okay, let's say you saw in a couple of. I think the feed of photos makes sense.
it slightly depends how varied the circles are, right? If I've got a mixer of family stuff, and then I know, let's say one of my hobbies is, I know I go fishing, and I've got like fishing things and family things, and they're all jumbled up. I don't know at this stage.
Yeah, just let's keep it, but remove this add new photo because you can't add new photos here.
Right. So let's see what Claude had suggested here. So there are three options. Add a circle selector, so a drop-down selector in the home view. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Remove upload from home view. That's your view,
right.
your idea. I think that's the easiest one. Show upload.
Can you increase the font size a little bit? I think
sure.
for the stream this might be because the YouTube tend to encrypt encode.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. So we remove the upload from the home view, which is maybe the one we should do. Show upload only with circles.
Isn't that the same thing?
Only show if the user has at least one circle. So I guess this is the button. I don't know what that was. Keep the upload selection in home view, but only show it if the user has at least one circle, and require them to select one before uploading.
It's not a natural workflow.
Let's just do number two.
Number two is correct.
But
I like this, that developers immediately forced to think
really
from
good.
user's perspective. Like, how do you... I wish the LLM out would be a little bit more like a user-centric. You could force it. You could go and at UI design skill, and you could, instead of responding, say, what would you recommend from UX perspective? It could be a solution if you don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely like, I think LLM users should immediately turn into app users as well, and kind of really think from user perspective.
I mean, we haven't talked about having LLM-based sort of personas and that sort of thing. I don't know whether we want to get to that point. Might not be the worst idea in the world.
The persona concept is somewhat controversial in design circles. I don't share the controversy. I think the controversy comes from designers taking the persona concept much further than I would take. The persona is a tool. It's not a kind of end-all thing. That's good. That looks good. So yeah, I think it could be quite interesting to define personas in agents at MG, for example.
Well, when I gave your slides, I took your slides and presented it like the other week, and the one designer in the room, you should have seen her face when I talked about personas. She was anyway, she was polite about it, but didn't like it.
I'm really happy. I'm connected to Alan Cooper on Mastodon, which makes me very, very happy. I actually wrote to him and showed a picture of his book and said he got me into design thinking. I was very happy about it, which made me happy.
That's good. That's good.
If those who don't know, Alan Cooper is the guy who created Visual Basic in Microsoft. I mean, I was part of the process, not probably the guy, and also the person who wrote this book, which is about face. Not the edition I like. I think the older edition is better, but it described this like a goal-driven development idea of what you should always think about user goals, what they want to do. A goal is something that describes what the user wants to do without describing a feature. And features should be all derived from user goals. Yeah. If there's a feature in your application that doesn't have a goal attached to it, that means the feature shouldn't be there.
So I personally like those sort of things. That they might feel a bit limiting, but ultimately, there's entertainment sort of stuff, right? But most of the time, people are using software to get something done, right?
Yeah, but even entertainment has a goal. I want, being entertained. Games have a goal. All of those have goals. But again, it creates a strict framework. But again, framework is a tool. If you need to get out of it, that's okay. But that's the thing. Why I like about this is like you should justify it. Okay, I'm stepping out this framework, and here's the reason why. Usually the reason why is actually you haven't done the research yet. Maybe you have a feature that a persona needs, you know. Maybe you haven't done that yet. And again, it's just what I like about this persona thinking is I think designers don't need it because they have innate ability to think from users' perspective. But developers don't have that, and that's why a tool that is not perfect for designers, which I understand the problems, I acknowledge there's problems in design process, but we talk about developers here, and for developers a tool it gets them 80% there, and actually designers should be encouraging that, like a design thinking in there, and it will allow designers and developers to discuss. Designers can then go away and ignore the limiting side, the problematic side of personas when they do their work. But I think it gets everybody to the same page.
I made a sort of similar point when it got flagged that even if it's not the latest and greatest practice, it's something that developers and teams can understand. And if you're an open source project, it's something you can understand. Yeah. I think the uncomfortable thing in the open source, I'm not getting too distracted by this, but the uncomfortable thing about the open source is like when most projects, even successful ones, are asked who's this, who's the persona, it probably looks quite like themselves, right?
Yeah, and that's fair. And it's also
not as a criticism; it's just more an observation.
It's not a problem at all, but it also is something that creates a conscious decision loop into this whole thing. If the persona is you, that's perfectly fine. But you can also then describe why somebody who is completely different type of person can't use your software. And it's very easy to track down the decision tree here and say, okay, maybe we should think about other people. Or maybe your decision is that you shouldn't. That's also fine.
Well, I think that could also be fine. But at least it makmakes it, what's the word?
It is perfectly fine. I think it's completely fine to be, this is a tool for people exactly like me who understands this database perfectly. That's completely fine decision. And then it gives a framework to other people who come to the project and go, okay, I understand this is not a project I want to participate in, or this is a project I definitely want to be part of.
So we're going a little bit forwards and backwards at the moment, but let's just get these resolved because it'll be a big fat mess if we go too much further. Yeah. Transient error during hot rush. Okay, let's. So wait. Do you think it's the problem is now that it's running? Let's just see. Maybe the problem is is that it's set it off running. Yeah, that's the problem. It was running it. It's running it from open code, and now I'm trying to run the script again, and now of course the ports are
right.
Okay, let me see if this works, and then if it works, it's great, and I can just ask it to stop its process. Okay, great.
Cool. There we go.
It's got a little toast as well. Thanks. And then we can't all photos even. Okay, that's nice. Okay, great. Stop. Right. Okay, so let's get, whilst that's doing that, let me get back to, I'm going to make this bunch bigger. Let's have a look at this. Can you see that okay?
No. Yeah.
So at the end of, I think when we did this on Thursday, we were wanting to get to a place where we had an access control model clear and then also implemented. So this was the last bit. We had to kind of cut the stream kind of short last time because we forgot we had meetings to go to. So anyway, this was the last bit. So let me just talk through what this access control, how it's going to work. So the first steps, right? So yes, we want a user to have a contact list, but that contact list has to stay personal to that user, and it's only people that they've already connected with. So this, again, it's not about building an audience or building a following. It's very much personal groups where you're sharing photos with, right? So I have a contact list, but only those who have signed up through invite links, yeah. So when a user gets a link, right, anyone who clicks on it has to log in, and once they become a member of the circle, they also become one of the contacts for the owner who invited them to that circle. So you will progressively build up your contact list. You can add other members to the circle, and then you can later pick somebody else who's already in your contact list, but you can't browse all users on the site, only the ones that you personally know through this invite system. And then when you get added to a circle, you can do everything with a circle, but you can't own it. At the moment, we're going to keep it simple. Only the owner can manage membership, right? So you can't delegate that to anybody else. A little bit limited for now, but we'll just keep it for simplicity. And then the key thing is it reiterates again, no global user list, right? Yeah. I'm not going to go through all of the implementation pieces, but the implementation pieces follow this thing. So we're going to keep, so Nextcloud is going to have the authorization model for accessing the folders that contain the photos. And then this is going to be separate outside of Nextcloud. So this contact list concept, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do, okay. Actually, let's just do commit changes before let's get to this checkpoint where it's a stable, before we make some changes here. And whilst that's doing, I'm going to say look, or read access control. Well, we can just set this into planning mode. Or build mode, because it's got the plan in it.
Sounds good.
Okay. Right, nice long to-do list. So this is a fairly big block of changes to go in one go. However, it's got a bit of planning behind it, so there's, I think, a good chance it'll figure it out first time around.
I've done longer.
Yeah.
I did an Android application mostly with Claude, and right. I did get to, so I was unsure if it will technically be possible when I started. So I wanted to get into a point where I understood the technical feasibility.
Right.
So I rushed into the point, and then I did do it Gemini first, and I asked Claude to do a technical review of the structure of Kotlin multi-platform Android frontend, and it had 50 points, and at all of them. It just went done.
That's pretty
it took quite a long time, but yeah, I had really interesting things in it where we detected like context leaks or memory leaks and things like that in, say, if you go back and forth on these pages, you will leak this every time.
Nice.
And things like that. It was quite good. And then I did same improvement for UI UX, where it kind of understood some like the tab controls on Android and things like that, where they're not set up correctly. I actually noticed it when using the app as well, when a back got me out of the app wrong time, but I didn't care at this point. I was like, okay, I just need to see if it's feasible. But once one UX review from Claude then fixed the navigation patterns correctly. That's greatly because of the Android CLI that Google has released contains a lot of the right patterns. So there's a set of skills from Google. It's quite funny because one of the most painful thing in Android application, 4 years ago when I rasped that right, was this concept of edge to edge. I think I talked about this last time, but it's the way now that Android doesn't have the bottom bar back and home and multitask anymore. It's more gestures, but you can still fall back to this old way of doing things, and old phones still use it. So Android, of course, have this fragmentation of different kind of things.
Yeah.
So to get the UI render in a modern way, where it renders behind all of these controls, including the navigation or the notification bar and all of these kind of things, but have this safe window where it doesn't render controls behind those tools. And you don't know how much of the bottom is hidden, because it might be big controls, it might be small controls where just align what they copied from iOS, which is the right thing to do. And same at the top bar, you kind of don't know. So the system became extremely complex to get it render right way. So there's not, there's right colors. You also need to take into account if you're in a light mode or dark mode, but you need to make sure if you have a white top bar on your application, you can't render white notification icons because they're not visible. All this kind of thing became extremely difficult to do. So Google has created a skill that you can put on Claude or Gemini that will fix the stuff. This is the thing that I don't think there was ever a single Android developer who enjoyed that as a problem. Like, oh, this is a nice challenge. Let me try to figure out how to get this stuff working. It was always really very painful to do. That's a good thing. That's a good example where it's a very kind of formal or it's very kind of formally definable problem that can be LLM can solve 100%, and there's no downside in my opinion.
This becomes the sort of topic of the more you set. I don't want to use the word guardrails because that has different meaning, but the more sort of the boundaries you set, and if you got something very clear, like here's material design, here are how it works, here are the interactions, here's how the platform should behave. You're giving the LLM a chance to know how to implement that.
I would even argue that it comes with the better results. Android as a platform is very mixed interaction quite often. It is much better now. It used to be in the wild old days. But for example, the way the bottom navigation works, it's very clearly defined. And now I disagree with the definition Google ended up with, but my disagreement is irrelevant. It's more important that it works the same way in every application. But think about the gesture, back gesture, the swipe back gesture is available always. Android back is always available, unlike on Apple navigation, which I think is worse. But if you've gotten used to it, you might be happy. But the thing about if you have a bottom navigation bar, back navigation has to work a certain way. And Google has defined that each of the tabs have different backstack, which I do not like. I don't know actually what the modern thing is. But in any ways, if you swipe back, you need to end up to the first tab before you exit the application. Which is a very good way to do, because otherwise you surprise, you swipe the back and it says, oh, you're back in the home.
Oh no, that
and so
sucks.
That's horrible. But these now all applications basically swipe to back, you go to the home, and then you go back to home page. I'd still argue, like this is something that I wish Google would do. I think the predictive navigation stuff they are working on, they've been working for forever, kind of solves the problem. I think, I've been saying this since Android 2.1, that back button should never take you to the home screen, because you have a home button already, or you have a home gesture already. There's this kind of back should just always stop when you are about to go to the home. Now some applications have have forced that. And that's not the right thing either, because now you go outside the platform standards. But this is the thing about when these LLMs are able to take, there's a skill for this navigation stuff that is baked into Jetpack Compose. That's a very good, because you just say, you can make Claude review your application navigation, say this, you're not complying with the platform.
I mean,
it's good.
It seems to me that, I mean, one of the beauties of web-based tools is it's a canvas, right? You can do anything you want on it. But actually because material design is much more than just how it looks, right? And Android is very much that, those interaction patterns and how you get hierarchies of not just information, but again, interactions and so forth, which is much deeper than a normal design system, I would say. And so getting to some of that depth across different platforms would be really helpful. Maybe people wouldn't like things working the same way all the time, but it would make life a lot easier, right?
Say if some people don't like it and they want to build in their applications, they're free to do so. I think they shouldn't, but I'm not, I'm not the dictator of Android. But the thing is, the people who want to get it right but don't have the skills to do so now have tools to do so for themselves, which is very good. You're somebody who's like, I just want to do the standard Android way. Just do me tabs, let it work the way it does. I don't care about the tabs. I just care about the content. Boom. It's much better than, some random implementation by somebody who copied from Stack Overflow, somebody else's code who might or might not be right. The LLMs are copying code, but the probability they copy the right code for this specific use case is much, much higher.
You did something recently web-based, right? There isn't that very clear set of interaction patterns. I mean, there's some things we normally tend to do, like things on the left-hand bar and kind of tabs at the top and this sort of thing, but it's not so well, you can't have a single one. I think I would argue that you can say one thing as Android as a platform. The web is too broad to have a single one. Yeah. But I don't think there is one set of interaction patterns that's so well defined for web. Not that I know of.
When you use a web application, you do notice when it breaks down. It's like, what happened here? And then you notice it's wrong. But maybe not. But we used web so long that the way interaction is communicated to user is quite standard already. You kind of understand when you're going somewhere, when you're going to another page or something. I don't know if it's because we're technical that we understand how it works, but
I mean, it's been a while. I haven't really thought about. I mean, the sort of things like trying to sort of simulate modal windows and that sort of stuff in the web never feels natural to me personally. No. I'd much rather have just like, even if it's like, hey, a new page with a 4-minute, kind of makes more sense to me. So almost like a sort of a stack model, where you can say, well, this page sits kind of, once you close this page, you go back to the main view or whatever. That would feel more natural to me. It depends.
And if you have a little bit more complex navigation in the web, because you have a little bit more space, especially if your desktop, you can use like breadcrumbs and things like that do help them.
I mean, I'd kind of like to get back to doing more, or let's say less JavaScript, meaning some more kind of just template-based web applications. I think things are fast enough now that unless you really need like on-page interactions where you drag a slider and you do this and the other, I personally think that most people would be happy with page refreshes because things refresh kind of quickly. A lot of things are cached and, I don't know.
Depends a lot what the application does for sure.
It does depend. But I think there's a lot of heavy JavaScript for quite simple interactions, which probably not.
On the other hand, you kind of also the JavaScript frameworks, which almost whichever one you choose, have evolved so far that like native Android applications really not so much needed anymore. The web stuff I was doing and just making it PWA was trivial, and the functionality is quite close to native. There's not much when I pull it out
That's true.
on Vivaldi and install it as a local application, which just means that it's just a shortcut with no Chrome. I mean browser Chrome, not Google Chrome.
Right.
It just runs as an application in a browser container. It's pretty alright. I don't hate it.
That's a fair argument for JavaScript heavy. I think where I started kind of questioning it was when you see a lot of frameworks start talking about server-side rendering. So we're kind of not quite going in a circle. It's just like, okay, well, if you're now rendering a bunch of stuff on the server and piping it out to, I guess, complete DOM sort of subtrees back into the JavaScript single page web app sort of thing. Sort of, I don't know, it doesn't feel wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm just saying that we're kind of saying, well, let's do some server-side rendering. There seems to be, I don't know, I guess I got nostalgic for the old days when you didn't really want to put a lot of JavaScript into web browsers. Okay. Enough of the old man reminiscing. Okay,
well, it's funny, old man yelling at cloud, same as started generating code.
I know. So a whole bunch of changes. I'm just going to restart the server and we'll see what it does. So let's before I restart the server, let me just think about what I want to see.
One question about for the task you gave it, because we have our users.
Yep.
And we have Nextcloud user, and they need to be in synchron. Are we creating Nextcloud users already automatically through our application?
I think for this modification, not yet.
Gotcha.
Not yet. Let me double check because I didn't read through all of this one right now, and I can't remember from last week. I think this is all about, this is not creating the new users. No.
Cool. We did check between streams that it is possible for our application to create users. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely possible. I know it's got hot reload already, but there's quite a bunch of changes, and now we've got the proxy error again, which kind of suggests it's running elsewhere. Let me just ask it because I want to keep running into this. Let me just check this not running somewhere. Check if this servers are running. See. Yeah. So right now we've got these 3 users, right? So we'll have to do the verification that works with the 3 users.
Well, that's a good first place.
Okay.
Because I think, for this setup we don't need any real emails or anything like that, right? So because that's going to be another rabbit hole.
That's a whole thing. Yeah, and then we're gonna that's the whole thing. So okay, so this is me. Add from contact list. I don't have any contacts. Please share a link. Okay, so the UX is let's not worry about too much about it for a second.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. But now we've got this horrible thing where we split activity. Well, we've got lots. This is where again the mental model in the way a web is. Makes it easy to, we've got buttons up here, we've got things going on down here, we've got lots of buttons in here. Okay, we'll get to this in a minute. But we want to generate a link. Yeah, it's okay for now. So we generate a link, which I guess is kind of ugly but let's see.
That's fine if it works. This is a solvable problem. The technical problem here is difficult. That's the.
So what's it gonna? Okay, so it doesn't. okay, I just want to check what the URL looks like. So that's okay.
Well, I
So
think it's
what-
good. It's a good check to check if it what happens if the same user opens.
Shall we try it? So we see.
Well, definitely try it. You know,
This.
not an important thing, but it's kind of an
I joined
interesting
vacation.
So you
So
joined your own vacation.
I've joined my own vacation.
So
But it didn't.
uses,
It didn't crash.
Yeah, it didn't crash. That's fine.
But it's a kind of one of those things where it doesn't make sense, but it's not destructive problem.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. So basically now you need to have a couple of browsers running at the same time.
Yeah. So I'm here. New. I want to do because I'm now. I
So
guess
you can go private, or you can do new process.
Yeah. Let me just create a new incognito window at the moment and bring it up into the screen share.
Cool.
And then we'll do host 5173 or something. Okay. And now I'll log in with one of the other users whose names I can't remember. So I'm just.
So none of the users are added to circle. Oh, you added some of them.
Yeah, I've got
by default. Yeah.
what's it called? So these ones here are the test users. Test users. So these are Nextcloud users that are in the system. So let me do Anne Brown. Hold on. That would do. And we'll log in. Okay, this is still pretty ugly, but anyway. And we'll log in. Don't worry about that. I don't care. Currently logged in. We're going to grant access. Okay. Error 401. So now, what's happened here then? Okay. Let me.
Well, you could copy the URL from the browser and say.
I think so.
This is
yeah, we can try that.
The callback.
Yeah.
The callback configuration is not correct.
That should be fine. Okay, log in incognito window. Logging. Let's say different. Let me tell who it is. Created this error when granting. Wait, created a 401. There's the callback. For what it's worth, I'm not sure what it's going to do with it, but let's see. I've not ever logged in as that user, so we could just have hit into a thing where, and that's what it's going to check, right? We could hit into the thing that says, well, maybe the user doesn't exist or something, but I think we did check in another stream when we logged in as admin that the 3 users are there. Okay, I think it's getting a problem. Yeah, so maybe what I'll do for the next stream is create a few different profiles in my browser, one for each user, so that we can then quite clearly see which one's which.
Yeah, that probably helps.
That's the easiest, yeah. Then we can just color the browser Chrome a bit bit different, so it's visibly clear. So I guess up until now we've only ever had one person logged in at a time. So, yeah.
Well, it's part of the testing.
Yeah, it's indeed. Let's call back. So. What I'm going to do while it's trying to figure that out, I'm just going to, off screen, I'm just going to log into the Nextcloud server as admin. And just verify all the users there. Interesting. Okay, what's it found? Here's what happens during login. User hits login, ignores this and redirects, okay, to the callback. Byte proxies a callback. Well, it shouldn't be 88. Oh yeah, that's going to the backend server. K2 exchanges, redirects. Because they logged before. Okay, I think there's, okay, let's just apply the fix then. Change the callback rights. Yes, okay, that makes sense. Simple, the wrong callback URL. Okay. But let me, well, again, whilst that squad's doing that, I just want to double check all the accounts I've got in there. Yeah, that's all fine. I've got these, all accounts are in here. Test accounts. So I guess one thing we probably should do next stream, or even before next stream, or maybe let's plan a bit of time, Juhani, before we go live on the next stream to get all of this running locally for you as well. Because now there are a few moving parts, right?
Yeah.
We've got the
that's good.
Nextcloud server, we've got to put the test data in there, etc., etc. Yeah.
Basically, we need to create a configuration that an LLM can fully set up the dev environment independently, or a script that can do that. I've done a few times.
Yeah.
A kind of
Just
when you go through this this process of kind of iterating through to get stuff working properly, then you can extract a markdown file that kind of helps you to set everything up. Cool, okay, this is exciting. Let's see what happens now.
Let me go through this again, and let me just copy that password again.
Yeah, if you do use something like Chromium or Vivaldi profiles, then you can just remember all the passwords and locked in states. And
exactly, like yeah. I'll once I set up the profiles, I'll do password remembering and everything, and won't have to worry about this. Okay. So, good news, bad news. But how the way I didn't join the thing yet, right? Let's do it as a logged in state, because I don't think it will know what to do otherwise. So back in here, I'm going to regenerate the link. I'm going to flip back to Anne Brown, and then I'm just going to paste in the link. No, it didn't copy.
I think generate doesn't copy it.
Generate it. Oh, you're right. And that's interesting. It's creating multiple. Okay. Let's just See what happens.
Sweet.
So there we go. Okay,
That
we
does
didn't
work.
update this, but that's okay. And I guess if I go to, let me see what happens if I reload. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, now you just need to say that, well, okay, that's a minor UI problem.
There are a few, quite a few.
But, yeah,
let me just upload a photo, just for, I can't remember now. What's it? Just, okay, another one of these ones. Okay.
Well, that's good. This is
step forward. Yeah.
This is progress.
Yeah. Let's just try and debug this one. I think let's get to this one working, and then maybe that's a good checkpoint for today. Yeah, there are loads of UX and UI horrors going on, but let's leave them for now. Resolved. Was able to get user and Brown to join the vacation circle. Terrible English. There you go. Message was okay. Well, I mean that's not going to help it too much. I'll have to sift through the logs. So I like it how, yeah, it's figuring out what the flow is going to be from the code. That's good. I mean, that's a real sort of like person type thinking, right? Let's think through the process. Let's think through the steps that's going to go through to see which one could be triggering the error. It's really interesting. Found it. Okay. Current users next cloud ID and token. The folder only exists in my file space and Anne Brown doesn't have. Okay. Right. So I don't know if you see this one here. So this is the bit that's kind of interesting. So essentially what that's saying is that Anne Brown doesn't have access to the folder for the vacation circle, this folder here, right? Which is what we really wanted to happen.
But okay, so it doesn't have write permission, but it clearly can read, right?
You can read, but not the right permission. So the upload looks at the credentials. After resolving, create membership table. So I just want to understand what's going on before we just get it to fix it.
Yeah. No, this is quite important because this is the stuff where LLM can go badly.
Right.
So clarify. For us, write access is add, not delete. Because so what we don't want the an user to be able to delete other people's photos, right? And that
do you
has
see
to
what
be enforced from the
And do you see what it's trying to do here?
Yeah, that's
what it wants to do is it wants to now basically proxy the owner of the folder to do the write operation.
I don't think that's the right thing to do.
No.
That sounds pretty bad.
Wants the to perform operations.
Does Nextcloud have granular enough user management for this?
We'll find out in a minute. It should do, right? Because you and I can share folders. I mean, just thinking about the manual.
If I share, you can delete my stuff as well, and we want to make sure that it. But okay, this is a problem that can be kicked down the road a little bit, but it could also be potential problem blocker as well.
We don't want. Let's just do it this way. And Brown to be done using John Smith's token T and Brown should it's cloud folder look for a fix don't just fix and Brown. I'm just going to help it here. It probably doesn't need this anymore, but I'm just going to do it. The fix works for any member of the circle. I'm just sort of predicting it might create some sort of something that just makes it work for Anne Brown.
Yeah, I think this is. We talk a little bit like guardrails and stuff like that. This would be a good place to put it into some spec.
Right.
We can either ask it to modify the tech spec for LLMs, or use the agents or something like that, or create another file. This would be a fun place to ask Enrique how he likes to do this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of yeah, it could be like this is basically we need to tell the LLMs that we want to make sure that there's no that the access management has to be enforced by the Nextcloud instance, and it should never change. It never fake users. It should never use different ID. It should only use the user that is logged in. The ID shouldn't be shared. Shouldn't fake who's writing what.
Exactly. Yeah.
And things like that. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see what it's trying to say now. Okay. Each circle member gets their own copy of the circle folder structure. That sounds really dirty. The upload code already uses, so we might have to direct it a little bit. But when the user joins a circle, create a circle folder in their Nextcloud space, pass the Nextcloud client the root function. Okay, I don't want to read it in too much detail here, but the bit that there's a red flag here. It says each circle member gets their own copy of the circle folder structure in their Nextcloud space. That's not what I want. I don't know if what I want is possible, but let's ask. So it asks a question. I just want to answer what it says. Does this no? We want Nextcloud level sharing. Okay, so it knows it's an option, right? That's a good thing. The all owners folder is shared with members.
Right. Yeah. There's an interesting problem here, though.
Right.
So if you think about this, so if I share a link to anybody, I don't know who I'm sharing it to. So I don't have a connection to the user yet, so I can't add that user to my Nextcloud account until the user has accepted the invitation, when we know which user it is. And then we could add it.
Yep.
At that point, I'm no longer logged in. So then...
is that a problem?
Well,
because
do we want to? So okay, it becomes a little bit the question of how because at the moment we don't store any user credentials to Nextcloud in our system. Whenever we do something, it comes to the browser that is identified as the user logged in with the OAuth, right? If I remember correctly. And that creates our system very safe. We never leak anything. So right now, if let's say I sent you a request, and then I go away, and then you get the request, and you click join. Now I have to log into the browser and add you as a viewer or editor for my Nextcloud account, because you, using the photo circles, won't have the authority to do so. At least you shouldn't. If you have, there's a problem in Nextcloud. The alternative would be that we somehow store the credential of me first and in the backend, and then execute as me. This just changed to that account. I don't know how it works. Or is there a way for that URL to kind of give permission to the Nextcloud? I don't know how Nextcloud sharing works. Is there a way to share a link to? Not really.
My understanding of what's going to happen is that the invite link will have nothing to do with Nextcloud.
No.
But when in the process of joining the circle, the authenticated Nextcloud user who's joining the circle will be given reads, writes, and probably delete permissions potentially to that shared folder, and only that shared folder.
How? So there's a Nextcloud has this thing of anybody with the link, right? Like Google. So are we using that mechanism?
No, there's also with Nextcloud folder sharing, you can specify the individual Nextcloud user who has access to that folder.
But we don't know that when we send the link.
Not yet.
We don't know who that user is. So there has to be two-part thing. Say accept, and I'm waiting for you to let me in.
So the thing is that you're right. So I guess the bit is like the point at which you're saying, so I've got a folder in Nextcloud. Hold on, wait. Let's just do this. We've got Nextcloud here, right? Is my screen flickering? Is this thing flickering?
It's not on the stream.
So if I do Nextcloud, no wait, localhost 8081. All right. All right, I don't want to be in the incognito. I want to just come back here. Okay. So now I'm going to be logging as this John Smith user. Smith, and yeah, stupidly I don't have that password. Sorry guys. Okay, so let's go to my files. And now I've got my circles, and this is the folder, right?
Right.
So I could manually say I do an internal share to Anne Brown, right? And I allow it to do custom permissions.
Here's good. You can allow write but not delete.
And those are the three I probably want, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to share the save for now.
Yeah. But you can do this because you know who you are sharing to.
Right.
Whereas the link is fully out of you don't know which user is going to open the link.
True.
So you can't pre-do this. Basically what needs to happen in our process is that Anne will open the link and accept the invitation, log in as a Nextcloud user, and that will then trigger to John a button saying, Anne has accepted your thing, please add her to your thing, where then John can add it. So it has to be two-step process, which might not be a bad thing, because that avoids us having to do anything. The other alternative is there's this share with a public link, external shares that would give the same permissions, which would allow that to be stored into our database to Anne. Who could then edit.
I think that could leak out, right?
Now we have a problem. Now we have data that can destroy the whole system, and we have to add some odd zero or something that guards our data. Because right now, what we're building a very safe system, because we we hand over all security problems to Nextcloud, and we don't store anything, none of the data. We don't have any user information. We have information, but we have no information that can be used to access the system, which is the worst thing that can happen is that we leak usernames or which circles people have or which image metadata they have, which of course we shouldn't leak either, but that's not a disaster level, that's just a screw up. So this is an interesting thing what we now need to decide how to use the third-party system. Maybe the two-step, so right now, honestly, I hate the idea of sharing the public link. I think that's a very bad idea.
I think that's just not, let's just ditch that idea completely.
So that's architecturally dangerous. But this two-part system might not be a bad thing. That actually creates it. It's quite easy. But once you have that person in your thing, then you could do. We could do something like, we could frame it differently. We could say, send a friend request.
Yeah.
And once you are connected as friends, then you can share a circle. And then it can be one-step share. And that could create a mental model that could be easier. Okay, first, you need to connect to people first. And once you're connected to people, you can share them circles. If that would be an easier mental model.
I think a different mental model is like, I'm going to share my invite with you. And once you've accepted the invite, I get the final approval to give you access to the...
Either way, that's a process that technically has to happen. And that's a good thing because if the invite link leaks, if you post it accidentally to group chat instead of to a person, there's no danger.
Well, invite links, they should expire and they should be one-time use only. But that's not a security measure enough, right? Because I still don't know who effectively used the invite link.
We had this same problem with social steps. We had this very same problem with social steps because we didn't know how to. We had to do this two-step thing as well, where basically what you can do is to share your profile.
Yeah.
And then once you share your profile, people can ask to be your friend.
There's another problem. If we try to do it as a single operation, it is technically doable. But there's another problem, which is you have to get a Nextcloud account that is not John Smith, has to have permission to manage membership of this vacation folder, right?
Yeah, well, basically we need to, what we can do, which I'm afraid we have to do anyways, is to make our backend an admin to the Nextcloud instance. Because otherwise we can't add new users anyways. Once we do that, that admin connection
is a weak link.
Do that thing. You can't just go and add this user to this user's account, probably.
It can, but this is then the thing is like, this is also a, if you want to say, well, listen, John Smith's data and all of the people in the circles is private only to them and nobody else can see it. Now, okay, if you're an admin, maybe you can do folder operations on behalf. You'll have to be able to. Maybe that's okay. Maybe that's okay.
Don't know.
So back to now this one here, right? So let's see, we asked it to do this, okay, research plan, new plan, okay. User joins a circle. The circle owner shares a Nextcloud folder with them via the OCS sharing API. The shared folder then appears in the member's own file space, which is correct. The OCA response contains a file target, the path, okay. So
I think that's
it's kind of a technical description.
That's a two-step process that we described,
well,
right?
It's not clear who performs this operation, right? Where it's
there's only one user who can do that. Only the owner can do that, otherwise it will
It would
not
be
have
weird if the
permission to
admin could do
execute.
that.
Admin can do that. We don't have the admin set up yet. Yeah.
So let me just ask it then. Permission questions. Okay, now it's got it. Let me just go on mute while I sneeze. Hold on. All right. By just saying I'm going to go on mute now, I don't want to sneeze. Okay, permissions. I'm planning permissions equals 7, read, write, create for the shared members. They can upload, overwrite, but not delete files directly in Nextcloud. Okay, that sounds correct.
That sounds good, yeah.
Existing membership. John Smith's existing membership row has no folder path. So I guess we should add that in there.
Yeah.
But it's skipping over this crucial question. I want to ask it. Question. Okay, answers to your questions. 1, yes. 2, yes. My question to you. What's Nextcloud form these operations on I just want to see what it's expecting to happen. But then I think, yes, we should put in the thing that we actually don't want these, we want John Smith to approve so that the operations happen under John Smith's account. Because I think that's also there's some sort of traceability problem if we don't do that, right? If you have, again, imagine we've got many users who have no overlap at all, but we've got this one mega powerful Nextcloud user that can do all of these operations on everybody's account. It's like they get to a point where you're like, something's going to go wrong and you don't quite know what happened, right? And I think even if it's sort of ergonomically for the user, another step, if you say, well, only John Smith can perform certain operations on the circle that he owns, then there's a sort of a much clearer line of ownership or when operations, if something kind of goes wrong, you know that only these people will have access to perform those operations. Okay, the share must be performed by John Smith. So the workflow is like, okay, we've now got a demanding cat. We look up the circle's owner, John Smith, from the membership table. We get John Smith's stored access token. Yikes, wait, we're storing the access token?
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
Oh dear, that's not great.
It is trying to solve the problem, we put it, but this is wrong. So no. I think it would be quite good to say, make a note in the text spec that we will never want to store any access tokens in our
yeah. And so, okay, so it's doing the kind of like the right thing in terms of like using John Smith's identity to share a folder to Anne Brown. That's okay.
Yeah.
How it's doing it is totally not right, but
I think we need to paint it out of the corner that is painted itself. Basically saying, let's implement two-step process. Add an approval to. Okay. Otherwise, it will just try to hack the way. This is the problem with LLMs. It will try to do exactly what you ask it to do, no matter what. I have removed all the logging system now everybody can access everything, no problem. The UI is working perfectly. Just refresh your browser and you will see everything is working.
In our system. Never. Okay, maybe I'll get the next sentence. John Smith will have to approve maybe I'll just pull out the whole flow. Do you hear the cat in the background?
Anyway, it's not Cats are not exactly the most annoying animals
He's
to listen to
when
until it starts.
you say that. You haven't met my cat. Okay.
Cats are more physically annoying when they're pissed off.
I don't know.
Scratch.
Okay.
Your cat is not dropping stuff from the shelf. My cousin's cat was
Oh my
looking
God.
at you in the eyes and going like, if you didn't get food. It's brilliant.
Invite link. Okay, and Brown opens the invite link, and okay, once I get this up and running, I'm gonna have to let the cat out because he's pestering me. So anyway, Anne Brown opens the invite link and either signs up to. Do we want to add this complexity for now, or should we just and logs into their Nextcloud account? Should we just do that?
That was my dog.
Just for simplicity, we'll get the user creation coming soon. Accounts, thereby accepting the invite. At this point, she. Okay. No, wait. John Smith will see on the circle page that. Oh no, I just got to let this cat out because he's putting me off my game here. Hold on one sec. All I could hear is him scratching away, trying to get out the door. Okay, John Smith will see the circle page and a notice that Anne Brown accepted the invite. He has to approve the what am I going to put it? Approve the to the circle. Approving access will then set up the sharing. I don't even know this is going to be possible to do this. How is this actually going to work at the back? How can the thing proxy? Anyway, we'll see. Suddenly I'm just thinking, how the hell can the back end perform an operation on behalf of John Smith? But let's see.
Well, the backend isn't. It's the browser.
Well, even more interesting. Okay, so how's that? John Smith generates an invite link, sends it to Anne Brown. Anne Brown opens the invite link, logs into her Nextcloud account. It's kind of weird English coming out of me. Her Nextcloud account, thereby accepting the invite. John Smith will see on the circle page a notice that Anne Brown accepted the invite. He has to approve the invite to the circle. Approving the access approving the invite will set up the sharing with John Smith's the folder sharing using John Smith's identity. Should we see what it makes of that, or have I missed something?
No, it sounds good. Like maybe it is the backend they're calling, but it has the token. So you log in, you give access to the system, right?
I think it. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting thing.
Let's see how
But no.
This is going to be interesting to see how this token's going to work, because the way I understand it is this is a good question. If we never want to store the tokens in the backend, if you're already storing them, I think they need to be stored in the user. I think that's going to ask about this exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I could see is that, okay, so firstly, storing it in a database table is a big no, right? That's that's what it was doing right now, and that should not happen. Whether it stores it in some sort of very temporary cache, I don't know, but even then, doesn't feel right. So membership status pending. Okay, so that adds more complexity, right? Because now Anne Brown has to have some sort of weird state, right?
Yeah, but that's fine.
Should the owner also have the option to reject deny access? Well, I think yes is the answer to that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
After approval, does Anne Brown need to do anything? Should it just work? No, she doesn't to do anything. Let's see what it does by that. On the token storage concern, should I plan to remove the DB stored tokens entirely, replacing it with session-only tokens?
I wonder how that works. This requires an experimentation. So are you able to log in?
You know what? You know what we need to do? The way to do this is we need to use proper OAuth where we have our own authentication mechanism in the photo circles has its own authentication mechanism, and then we need to grant our user certain rights to Nextcloud's, right, as user, a bit like with Facebook Connect, right, or whatever, right, where we say, listen, I'm allowed to use the identity of another system, but with these conditions. So we essentially
then you have to have then we have critical user data. We need to have to take security very, very seriously.
Then I don't think we
fair
can.
Enough. You know, you might be right. You might be right in this. So my thought was that we could use the Nextcloud login as that, or like not have another authentication method at all. Just you lean on the Nextcloud authentication for everything.
I tell you what I think we should do is, for now, we know that they're doing something dirty like storing this token in the database. For now, let's leave it like that, get the flow working, and then it might mean that we have to undo the flow at some point, but then we come back and go, well, listen, now we've got a more contained problem, which is how do we handle these tokens? But the LLM's understanding of what we're trying to achieve will be better because we've got the working flow. So
Fair enough.
No, just focus on the invite flow for now. Okay, so we'll do a bit more planning. Yeah, this is a bit of a knottier problem. Maybe it'll be all right. Maybe we can. The thing is, I guess if you think about the way OAuth works, right, is that once I've logged in, I've got a token on behalf of the user that needs to be held somewhere, right?
Yeah,
sometimes
it's the same thing as an app would store it somewhere, which is okay. It depends a little bit how we want to structure the system. Yeah, fair enough.
So the thing is, with an app, the difference is with an app is like, I have an app on my device. It's a single user experience. In the app running process, I only ever have one user using that running process. Whereas here, I might have 10 people logged in at any one time. So the back end is now holding tokens for 10 people. And there I think is a fundamental difference in what's going on, because if you only hold it for you, then you're like, okay, well, I store it securely for me, and then I don't have to worry about anything else. In an app context, don't have to worry, you know. Okay. Invite link generation. unchanged. Photo proxy, users upload store path, we use web.dev, okay. Contact creation on invite accept, happens immediately, independent of approval. Sorry, I have to scroll up to the top quickly. Owner generates link, invite accepts, approves, member active, owner rejects. Okay, that looks all right. I'm not going to go through this, although we probably should start looking a bit more carefully what it's actually doing. Folder path, share ID. Okay, those things I think are probably okay. Ending, okay. At this stage, I think I'm just going to say go and implement it. For the add to contacts action, owner manually add someone. This bypasses the pending state entirely correct. The owner is actively logged in and explicitly adding someone. So it goes straight to active. Yes. This is correct. Yeah. So with this sort of thing, what I'm thinking about, Juhani, is like getting something running and then would do a new session, and then a new session then be more like a, trying to get the LLM to act as a sort of a architectural critic, right? Come in and then do a kind of iteration of like, well, what do you think should happen, or here are our concerns. What concerns would you have, and just kind of sort of step away from the code in a way, right?
Makes sense.
So I don't know. We could do that in another session. We've been running for an hour and a half now. So
yeah, I think it's kind of have to wrap up soon, but
yeah, I think let's see if we can get this flow working. It might be that we pause at this stage. Because this is going to be a few. Yeah. Now the other thing we're going to have here for the testing, right, is you're probably going to want. Maybe we should pause it today because I can see this going on for a little bit longer. We're going to have to want to find a way to kind of clear the state so that we can say, I want to do this invite loop again and again in a kind of testing stage. And once
that means you have to be able to kick somebody out.
Yeah, or just have a script to reset the state of the system prior to me testing it. Because if I had to manually do it, it would be kind of annoying. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Or write an automatic test suite to do that.
Yeah. We should get to do that at some point as well. I think that's also really interesting. Maybe an interesting thing here is like see how far we can get these more complicated interactions being run end to end with black box testing, rather than maybe some of the sharing stuff. Almost not quite smoke test, probably a bit a step beyond the smoke test. But not try and hit every feature, but just certain features, trying to get them run end to end from an automated perspective. I know we probably want to get into building the mobile part, but
well, if you think about what is the kind of the product verification path, at what point we can understand if the product we're building is the right product.
Right.
Getting the sharing functionality is a foundation for being able to test with real data and real business logic, which is very light in this case. But that's basically it, and that does require the end device we plan to serve to as a main use case. If our target is mobile device, building an Android application makes a lot of sense. If our target is to let people browse it on the web, then it's just nice to have. I feel that the application like this is probably mobile first. We could do PWA quite easily, but I think in this case, there's a kind of justification for native application or cross-platform, but an application as such, because you want to have this experience of browsing. That's an entertainment use case, so it should be easy. Easy what to do, and push notifications and things like that. Are possible in PWA as well, but I think in general it's probably better user experience.
Yeah. Plus, I think you might want to. I think that it would feel more natural in a mobile app. I mean, we could try and build the PWA version as well and see how that works. Once we've got the mobile app.
I think there's a kind of probably got an interesting hybrid approach possibility here, where we could build PWA that has all the features and build a limited feature Android application. If you think about what do you want to do on Android, I mean mobile, just as is Android because I'm an Android. But on mobile, the primary use case is to browse things,
right,
or share a thing, and both of those can be done with very simple things. You might not be even wanting to be managing circles or whatever's on mobile. Maybe we can leave that in a browser for now. Eventually, for sure, you want to be able to do that. So to make the flow very quickly, you've got to go to your friend's house and you want to get it done without having to wait and go home to log into your browser to accept an invite, right? But that's not important for this. We know that can be done. That's not a blocker for the right app or not. The right app or not is the experience of browsing and viewing incoming photos or photo stream. And I think that's the core we should try. So I think we should spin up an Android application maybe in next stream, assuming this all works. This is the state where we can be used.
Yep. I mean, I think if we leave this token horror in there for now, because again, I mean,
we're not going to be using.
I guess let's come back to kind of the mission right now, which is not technical correctness. It's and maybe we got pulled a little bit into too much technical this, that, and the other. But the key thing is the usability, right?
Right. Product market fit.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting additional requirement that this requires. It needs to be deployed somewhere.
That's true.
So we need to have an xCloud instance somewhere, and we need to have these circles, photo circles deployed somewhere. But that's not too difficult.
Hopefully, we just run them on the same, VPC, if it's big enough, and run them in Docker containers.
Yeah.
Okay. Backend changes. Okay. Let me just it's the server. And oh well, why do I ask when I just type? This one is John Smith. Okay, let's just come back to. Let's just come back to the home page, although that's the circle, so that's where we want to end up anyway. So what did it? So we can remove, and that's interesting. So we've not asked it to reset the state yet. Should we do that manually in the LLM, or should we try and do it here?
Give it a go.
Okay.
This is a one-step process, because now you're locked in somebody who has access to this.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what. Let's flip over to Anne, which I think is now. We're still in John Smith. Hold on. This is now Anne. Right. Okay, Anne, and let's just do a refresh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that works. Right. I've got no access. Okay, that's fine. Now let me take the link, right? Invite link. I'm already a member of the circle. Okay,
Yeah,
I
something
think I'm
didn't
gonna.
get cleaned. But what you could
Yeah.
do is in the John Smith account, just create another circle, right? Wouldn't that do this? Oh yeah, we don't have the
I can.
it doesn't
No, I
create.
can create a circle.
Oh yeah, does it create folders? It does, right? Yeah, yeah, we
It
tried
should do.
it. Yeah.
Privacy. Now look, this is interesting. Okay, we didn't really ask for that, but okay. Request failed.
That's not like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I suggest we do. How much do we want to today push on through to get this running, or shall I just get it running off stream?
I think we need to do off screen. It's quite late already.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, that's
the
my view.
family is home, so there's gonna be some children running here soon anyway. So it's gonna be like hardcore programming with children.
Yeah, with
trying
kids
to
around.
get
Yeah,
food.
they'll make my cat look pretty non.
But I think
problematic.
this is a good one because we now understand what we were doing, and it's quite easy to go to a point where we go to the next step and we can understand then what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Cool.
I think so.
Then I'd say thank you everybody for watching, and thanks Jasper for coding, or at least asking somebody else to code for you, and it's good. Next time I think we're going to cycle through the process of adding these things, and we might do the Android app already next time, possibly.
Yeah, let me at least off stream try and get the end-to-end process running at least, and then even if we're not super happy with it, we can build on top of that.
Sounds good. Cool. Then